Hey there, my name's Ty, and today we're going to learn how to turn any image into a multi-tone image in Photoshop. Step 1. On a new document, choose your image of choice, royalty-free of course, courtesy of Unsplash, resize and rasterize that image ready to be edited. Step 2. Cut out the image by using a selection tool. In this case, I'm going to be using a magnetic lasso. Zoom in nice and close so you can be as accurate as possible, and select the entire outer edge of the object. It's always a good idea to touch up your selection by using the regular lasso. By holding Alt you can remove, and by holding Shift you can add to the existing selection. Cool, next we invert the selection with Shift Command I, duplicate the layer and delete off the background. Since the bottom of the tires are hidden, instead of rebuilding the tires, I'm just going to extend out the footpath by creating a selection, deleting the top, and using content aware fill to fill in the areas that align with the bottom of the footpath. Content aware fill is a great way of extending out a pattern or a texture to a surrounding area. That brings us to step 3, which is to desaturate the object. What this is going to do is it's going to remove all of the color and leave only the blacks and the whites and the variations between. We're going to duplicate out each of these layers because each of these individual desaturated layers is going to become a different tone within our final product. Step 4 is to adjust the different levels within each of our desaturated layers, and what this is going to do is it's going to shift all of the light areas to white and the dark areas to black. And to bring this panel up, we press Command L, and by pulling together the two different triangles from dark and light, you're going to end up with those strictly two-tone results. The further to the right, the more black you're going to have on the overall image, and the further to the left, the more white we're going to have in the overall image. So what we're going to do is we're going to repeat this for all the different layers that we've got, and we're going to delete off each of the white areas by selecting them with the magic wand tool with contiguous turned off. We're going to delete off all the white, and we're going to repeat the same process, but the next time we're going to pull the arrows just a little bit further left in the levels panel. What that'll do is it'll create a larger area of white compared to the dark, and what you'll be able to see here is the different levels having that distinct layering effect come into form. We're going to continue doing this for all the different layers, and when you're creating your areas of white and black, make sure that you're aiming to get those layers on areas that really highlight the shape or form of the object that you're working with. Just to make my life easier while I'm doing this, the previous layer that I've been working on, I'm reducing to 20% opacity. That way I can see through that layer and make sure that when I adjust the levels of the following layer, that there's a significant gap between the two different light levels. As you can see, that effect is already starting to take form. Next, we're going to do the exact same process for the ground, and then we're going to follow up with the final step. Amazing, we're almost there. So step 5 is to add color. Now what we're going to do for this is we're going to select all of our different layers. We're going to bump the opacity all the way back up to 100% where they should be at. We're going to hide the two highlights and we're going to hide the two shadows, and we're going to approach from the mid-tone first. Since I've already deleted off all of the white from each of the layers, I'm just going to use the magic wand to select the background, Shift Command I to invert it so it's just selected the out. And by doing this, we're going to make sure that there's no little edges that have been missed around the edge of the black. And we're going to look through our color picker to find an appropriate color for our mid-tone. Now that I've found a color that I'm happy with, I'm going to apply that color to the selection by going Shift F5 to bring up the fill panel, and I'm going to change it from content aware to the foreground color and fill it in blue. And to carry on making sure that our colors are consistent and they fit really nicely together, I'm going to start with the highlight following the mid-tone, and I'm going to pick a color on the color picker in the top right just a little bit higher, maybe halfway between where I've chosen and the very top, to set a highlight color around that. And then I'm going to use the same Shift F5 fill foreground color, and I'm going to repeat that same process for the highlights. And I'm going to repeat that same process for the shadows by color sampling from the mid-tone and then choosing colors that are significantly deeper and deeper down in the colors panel to make sure that we have that nice range of light. And once again, I'm going to apply the exact same process to the ground. This time I'm going to choose a nice contrasting color that will fit in and make that blue pop a little bit more. Cool. Now we're just about there. Because I would like to add a background to this and I don't want it to come through the gaps in the object and the base itself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool to just create a selection that covers the entire back area of the footpath, and I'm going to fill that in with a really light purple, and I'm going to grab an original copy of the little buggy and I'm going to do a really light blue to sit behind that. That way when we put a background in there, it's not going to come through the two different areas we've been working on. And last of all, what we're going to do is we're just going to set a background for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a selection, make a new layer that I've named back color, and just fill that entire area with a new color. And an easy tip is if you find it hard to deal with colors and color combinations, once you've got any color, you can just go into the adjustments menu, choose hue and saturation to bring up the hue and saturation panel, and just have a play around with the hue, saturation and lightness of that color that you've already set. That'll allow you to slowly see the change in how it interacts with the existing colors that you've got. So there you have it, 5 really easy steps to create a multi-toned image out of any image you come across. This technique can be used in a range of different ways, so have a play with it. You can see here another piece of work that I've done previously using the same effect. I've got this turtle here. Areas that have distinctly different dark and light regions will make it really pop and make a really unique effect, and you can split them apart and get something that resembles that of like a lino cut or other form of print media. It's really interesting, but you can do it entirely digital and really quickly. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And yeah, join Yoobee. Yoobee's the bomb. Alright, thanks guys, see ya.